This song is called, what's this song called? Awake in the Dream. Yeah.
There we go. That sounds better. Hey, folks, how's everyone doing? I'm doing well. Life is good. I have coffee. It is morning. The best part of waking up is coffee. So yeah, looks like we're gonna start things off all fun and dandy here. It's pretty close to noon. I'm a little bit early, I think, but that's okay. You know, Mama always said if you're always 5 minutes early, you're never 10 minutes late. And we're gonna do the normal yammering thing, but we're also going to have the 2022 year in preview, where I cast my magnificent clairvoyant powers into the future to find. I don't think that's clairvoyance. Whatever. I'm gonna read the coffee leaves and figure out what the future holds for all of us. I see. I got some people. I see She Loves Puns is on. Hello, She Loves Puns. Hope you're doing well. Long time no see, like 2 days. Not a Mr. Beast contest. I think you are new and potentially a bot, but who knows? I never know with bots. Def B Caxipso6 or something along those lines. You're all welcome here, anyways, no matter what. Hi, She Loves Puns. Good to see you. And yeah, we're gonna do some soothsaying, which will be fun. I'm gonna try and be as super positive about 2022 as I can. Not easy the day after I found out that Betty White died, because Betty White is a fucking legend. I'm an old man, and I grew up loving things like Golden Girls, and Betty White is just an iconic human being who I'm very sad to see no longer with us. It's weird because, like, my grandfather also died at 99, my maternal grandfather. And it wasn't like we didn't see that coming. But you still, even then, you still have this vibe of like, but no, that can't have happened. That's not right. And it's bizarre and strange and weird, but it's life. And so to Betty White and all the Betty Whites out there, thank you for all the things that you did and all the things that the joys that you brought to all of our lives. You're just a badass. Period. End of sentence. So I, as many of my regular viewers will know, the thousands and thousands of you that watch me every week, will know that I live here in the fine city of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Obviously, horribly worried about being doxxed as being a Calgarian, but whatever. And so we just did some stuff with our COVID stuff, and I think this is fairly commonplace right now. Everybody seems to be doing this, so I'm going to quickly take a moment and talk about this article from the Calgary Herald. Happy New Year! I am Canadian. Good to see you, my friend. Let's switch to the old browser view after I bring up the thing, because otherwise it's weird. And browser view. Why did that go to a Google search? Oh, well, whatever. I got it. We're there. All right, fade over. And, all right. I only have a couple minutes to catch up on what's happening in Calgary. Get my Calgary Herald Noon News Roundup, or what we call the Hot Nooner. So Alberta cuts isolation requirements for 5 days for fully vaccinated individuals, with exceptions for essential businesses. This, if you're not familiar, is Dr. Dina Henshaw, who is our chief medical officer. And I'm starting to feel more and more a fine puppet of the state, but who knows? Maybe I'm paranoid. So it says we're shortening the isolation period for individuals who've had 2 doses of the vaccine, who test positive for COVID-19, and a loophole exists that will allow workers who are deemed essential to return to their jobs, even if they're still infectious. Yay! What could go wrong? So starting tomorrow, or 2 days from now, Alberta's Health Minister Jason Copping said fully vaccinated Albertans with COVID-19 will be required to isolate for 5 days instead of the previous 10-day requirement. as long as the symptoms have fully resolved. If symptoms continue past then, isolation will need to continue until the individual is feeling better. My fear on this is just, is it supported by data? And sure enough, Copping said that this is evidence shows vaccinated people have shorter infectious periods, and it's needed to help keep the economy moving. That's the part that concerns me. Is I hope that it's true that vaccinated people shed the virus for shorter periods, but I don't necessarily believe that that's the case, and that is the trouble. My faith in government, surprisingly, is very little. Happy spawning of a new era. Bender, it's good to see you, my friend. New year, new me. Hinshaw has been pummeled for 2 years in a crisis by K and the UCP. Absolutely, but I feel kind of like Hinshaw has not putting her head up anymore. I feel like Hinshaw may very well be just going with the flow because she's just taken too many punches. Which is ironic because I read another article this morning that I'm not going to bother reading on stream. That was Rick Bell from the Calgary Sun interviewing Jason Kenney, the Premier of Alberta. And Kenney said he'd been, he sure had a whole bunch of hard body blows this past few years, but, he was optimistic that things were about to get better. My fear, anytime conservatives are optimistic, that's terrible for humans. I'm being spurious, but only kind of sort of not really. Jason Kenney is, what's the word for it? Evil. And he's an evil troll of a man and terrifying in many respects because of his total discrediting of things like good. Pretty much anything good he's not a fan of. So it's alarming when they start talking about things like reducing the isolation period. I get if there's valid science, which I have not seen one way or the other, if there's valid science that says that people who've been doubly vaccinated are shedding the virus for a shorter period of time, that's awesome, and it makes sense not to isolate for longer if by and large that's an unnecessary step. So I'm not in any way saying it's bad. I'm saying I don't trust it. And I don't trust it because I don't trust them. And I don't trust them because they've fucking earned it. When they immediately go, it's really important, and the economy. That's the thing that scares me, because I don't have faith that the economy, first off, the economy is the economy. It's a made up bullshit rationalization that we invent to define success for a nation. It's obviously, it's based on some real factors, and some of those are important and some of them are not, but largely not. And the things that we've done for the best thing we did for the economy as Canadians in the last, COVID time, was the CERB, CERB, the basically guaranteed. It was for all intents and purposes a beefed up unemployment insurance / kind of a universal basic income. And what happened was, at the start of the pandemic, everybody started losing their jobs. Things were shitty all over, and then this opportunity came along for us with the CERB. I just booted my foot into the table. That was awesome. With the CERB, we got this opportunity to survive in things. Unlike our American friends who got, I think, a total of, what was it, $2,000 over the course of the entire thing so far. Canadians were able to get $2,000 a month. And what that did was it kept our economy moving. It allowed for people to order lots of DoorDash and Amazon, which I don't support either of those companies, but conceptually, transactions were taking place. It was good. So I got to do some brekkie shit here, but I'm listening. Modified. Be right back. Oh, absolutely. You feed yourself, Bender. I'm not going to be the one to say you can't eat. CERB equals ability to exist. Ability to exist means less exploitable. Less exploitable means less power. Less power means and economy. Yeah, no, absolutely. The and it's funny to me. Like, this is a thing that I talk about all the time with regards to, and it ties in like everything else I talk about. It's all interconnected. Oh, so gracious of you, my ladies. Yes, of course. Well, I don't like to draw attention, but what's got two thumbs and is the most gracious person on earth? This guy right here. The old two thumbs joke. But yeah, it's all interconnected. So the great replacement and the falling birth rates. Oh my goodness, the economy will die. Climate change. Oh my goodness, we're all going to die because people aren't using plastic straws. No, actually, it's because the economy is going too strong and there's too much manufacturing and there's too much poor use of fossil fuels and other heavy industrial pollutants that are pretty much outside of our capacity to resolve as consumers. All of these things all tie together when we panic about this shit, when we panic about what the world is going to look like. We're doing it from this conservative perspective that makes the assumption that our current state of economic activity and of production and of all this stuff is good. That's an assumption, and it's not one that I hold to be true. The brutal reality of things is that we are grossly overpopulated as a planet. I'm not in favor of genocide. We've talked about a bunch of times about the whole replacement rate thing and the fact that there is a natural result of industrialization that is causing us to have less children. And that's not us as in Western world. That's us as in human type peoples. When you have a moderately industrialized environment, your birth rate starts to decline. So it's declining in all over the place, including places where we go, but they're going to outbreed us because they're brown and scary. So our population is going to decrease. Is that a problem from an economic perspective? I don't know. I'm not an economist. I can tell you that the chances we can have a workforce that is as large as the one that we currently have seem pretty unlikely if we're slowing our population growth. But also, I can tell you that there's this thing that I also harp on about called automation. And automation has been a thing that we've been struggling with because it's putting people out of jobs. It's almost as if we have a problem and a solution all wrapped up in one. Automation resulting in less need for people to do jobs, as long as that automation and the benefits of the ability to have work things done with less people doing the work, as long as that actually benefits the people and not the upper echelons of the people, then we've solved the problem before it even started. The reduction in the number of people will result in lowering of things like climate emissions and stuff. It also frees up people to actually do jobs they want. This is an interesting take on the whole concept of like the universal base income that I saw recently. People were talking about this, and someone shared a meme, and it was so you think people shouldn't have to work? And the person responded with yeah. I think people shouldn't have to work. I think people should want to work. I think if you consider what the world is like in the case of a UBI where every citizen is taken care of, it changes the dynamic of the employer-employee relationship. So there's still people who are going to want to work, and there's still work that's going to get done. It's just that the driver for that will be people wanting to do things. I, for one, can't imagine not working. It's just not a thing that crosses my mind. It's not that I love my job and I love to work and I'm a cog in the system, baby. But I have a brain that likes doing work things. It also likes doing creative things, and I do a lot of that. So in a world where I didn't have to work full-time just to keep the lights on in this shanty of a fucking house, I probably wouldn't work full-time. I'd probably work much less. But that work would probably be better because I would actually be wanting to do that work. And this is the point that this meme was making, is that if you have a population that is kept sort of under the economic thumb of terror that they're going to lose their ability to pay for their lives, well, that's bad. And those people aren't doing the good work because their brains are 50% consumed with how am I going to fucking keep the lights on? Versus a world where we have a universal basic income that says everybody's lights stay on. And all of a sudden, people can actually devote their brain power to the things that are important in their job space, which are things that maybe are, worthwhile and enjoyable for them as a person. I like many aspects of my job. I like the problem-solving nature of my job, and I think it's fucking cool shit when I get some project that, is impossible and I get it done. Like, that's just fucking rad. I don't think that's a unique behavior. Spain is trying a 4-day workweek experiment. Like others who've tried, apparently productivity doesn't go down. I would be stunned if productivity doesn't go down. If productivity went down. A 4-day workweek is a huge idea. It's terrifying to me because I am a hourly paid employee. And if my rate doesn't change and I am expected to only work 4 8-hour days a week, then that means I just lost 1/5 of my income, 1/5 of my ability to pay rent, 1/5 of blah, 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 blah. That's not comfortable for me because of my unique situation. But the concept of the 4-day work week is actually really, really good and really vital. And I think it's a fantastic idea. If you think about what we imagined the future to be, I saw, who was it? Bo of the Fifth Column had a video that he put out today talking about 2022, and he referenced the fact that the great future celebrity born in 2022 was George Jetson. And I thought this was really clever because what he was saying is this was the image that we had of the future, that almost all of things were done by automation except where absolutely necessary. Apparently the creativity wasn't there to imagine a world where a computer could push a button on its own rather than having a human go twink, twink, because that was George Jetson's job. Focusing on what matters versus putting in the hours. Exactly what I'm saying. But the idea that was the best future we could come up with at the time. Another good example of what future looked like in all of our minds was the USS Enterprise. And I am not a Trekkie, so if I say things that are against if I accidentally say that Luke wasn't Vader's son or whatever, all you Trekkies settle your grits. Obviously, I'm not an expert, and I did that on purpose. Just saying. The future that Star Wars showed us was one where there was no concept of money because money was unnecessary. The creation of the replicator, I believe, was the thing that they credited with, if you say what? I didn't say anything. If you say something bad about Star Trek, we will find you. This is why I tease the Star Trek people. It's cool, man. I love Star Trek. I'm on team Picard. I don't know, the bald one. Motherfucking left-wing SOB. God, I love you people. I actually really love Star Trek. It's the thing for me. But the concept of this replicator ended the concept of scarcity, right? When you could have a replicator and they were widely available and you could just go, I would like poached eggs, and you didn't have to worry about them burning because some asshole on the internet made fun of the TV show you enjoy so much. And your eggs just came out and they were good and you would eat the eggs and yay, you have protein now. All of a sudden, that means that money isn't really like a thing. If you can create anything out of essentially thin air, then who gives a shit if you have money or not? What is money at that point, right? Because money is really just the thing that we invented to try and make sure scarcity was real, and shared by people. So rich people could have more of the things that are scarce. Pardon me, Jesus. Rich people could have more of the things that are scarce, and poor people could have less of the things that are scarce, to the point where they start dying. That's what money do. And in a world where that scarcity isn't necessary anymore, that's kind of what the dream was. But if you think about it, like, your favorite Jean-Luc Kirk, whatever guy you like best. God, I'm enjoying doing this to you. Whichever Star Trek captain you approve of most, didn't have like unwieldy buying power compared to the ensign. They all lived in a fucking giant box thing in space. They all kind of, if you wanted to go for a glass of weird Romulan ale after work day, everyone could afford to do that, right? I mean, like, it was a very egalitarian society. That's a good thing. That was what things like automation did. No one is standing there making sure that the electro diodes are jigger-jaggering in this way. You've got your engineering guy who comes up with clever solutions and keeps the basic maintenance of the ship running. You've got your medical doctor because there's so far that technology can take you. You can scan a person and be like, ooh, you have stage 4 cancer, and then they can do things with the surgical bots. They go and take out the cancer or whatever the fuck. I'm babbling. But you know what I mean. It's no longer a requirement that you, the most menial of things are done by humans. Those are all automated. And the humans get to focus on areas where they're trained and where they're excellent and where they provide some kind of a value that otherwise, wouldn't be something you could get out of a machine. I like that idea. I'm a fan of it. Yet there are still Romulans and Klingons. Yes. And their lives, while different, are not that different. And there is a quest for peace that exists in the universe. The Romulans. My child is blowing through his bong. Or no, pouring water out of his bong. I'm glad we're having this part of the conversation. In spite of unlimited resources, assholes will still be assholes. Absolutely. And that is an important failing in ideologies in general that actually is caught very nicely by the Star Trek world. That concept that a perfect solution doesn't exist that's going to make everybody happy. This is why, as much as I'm a libertarian socialist, I don't really see a time where you don't need some kind of a government doing some kind of a infringement on everybody's liberties, because there will always be assholes who think it's really fucking poggers to mass murder people. The trouble with power is assholes don't care about you, they just want to be assholes. That could be the subtitle of capitalism's autobiography. This is why we must turn within, find inner peace, choose to be happy. Bliss. Yes. And the more that we do that, the more that we seek for our own internal happiness, the better off we always are. As a society, the better off we are. And again, when it comes to a universal basic income, if you have time for that inner peace, if you have the luxury of access to services to help you find that inner peace, you do better. Duchess Nukem YYC, Happy New Year, Jim. Live long and prosper. And Happy New Year to you, Duchess Nukem YYC. I hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a couple months. I hope you're doing super good. I'm doing good. We have a big secret project that's about to be unveiled on the world in the Bodies of Everest camp, and I'm stoked for that. I'm not telling. It's really tempting to just spill the beans, but I'm not gonna. You don't have to wait long. Less than a week. But yeah, this whole thing of oh my God, the population. Oh my God, everything. You want to know how to solve the climate crisis? You get the right people involved in the conversations about how do we prevent the amount of wasted fossil fuel shit consumption that we're doing. How do we deal with the pollution that is a result of the way we do our manufacturing? because those are the things that are really primary concerns. And it's not fucking Elon Musk is not your savior. Lithium batteries are not the answer to fossil fuels. Period. What would make things better for all? Happy, unafraid, courageous people who take on uncertainty, or frightened, oppressed, survival mode populists working for assholes? Ayn Rand is your savior. Elon Musk is a visionary. He's the Tony Stark of self-hate. Yeah, I agree very much in the idea that raising people up to a level where they don't live in terror is a good thing. Allowing people to do the things that they are inspired to do or feel interested in doing versus doing whatever they need to do to keep the fucking lights on is a game changer for most people. A hand up is not a handout. If you teach a man to fish, it's worth two in the bush. The pie gets bigger, not smaller pieces. Yes, and that's to me that's the big thing is we keep making this mistake, and that was sort of my original point here before the ramble started. The original point was we're starting with assumptions, and in the case of overpopulation, for example, and the rate of decline of humans, the assumption is that our economy only works if we are this populated. And that is a wrong assumption. I believe that our economy will be just fine if we had less people in the workforce and more people doing better work in that workforce. I never thought I would, but I'm all for nuclear power now. I am too. I actually have zero concerns. When we talk about energy and we talk about the directions we need to go, we actually miss a core component. And that is lubes and greases, which sounds like the stupidest shit that I've ever said. But lubes and greases are huge parts of the industrial process. You need to have, when you have pieces of metal that rub against each other, a little lube is probably, a little dab will do you there. So I look at a very complex solution to a very complex problem. I think that we have to have biofuel being created, which is not a zero sum. It's organic, so it doesn't pollute. Absolutely, there's still going to be pollution from that, but we can focus that on things like lubes and greases, where we're not necessarily emitting CO2 into the atmosphere. When it comes to our complicated energy requirements, nuclear works in the U.S. There's like 60 nuclear power plants active in the U.S. or some shit like that. A large amount of power in the U.S. is actually being derived from nuclear energy, and everyone goes, "Oh my goodness, what about the 3 Mile Islands and shit?" Okay, well, 3 Mile Island was a while ago. Chernobyl was a while ago. Even Fukushima, like if you look at the details surrounding why these things all happened, it was because we were doing this early days in our understanding of things. Turns out, Fukushima shouldn't have been built where Fukushima was built. Is a terrible, terrible place to put a nuclear plant. Chernobyl was, we didn't know what we were doing when we built it, and when we were running that fucking thing. 3 Mile Island, same thing. You ever want a real creepy? You know what? In a second, I'm just gonna make note so I don't forget. We're gonna read up about the Demon Core. It's some fucking fascinating shit, and this will be something that I get to share with you. Not because it's like, oh, the world is ending or anything like that, but nuclear power, in my estimation, is part of that overall picture that gives us a sustainable source of power from a variety of different environments that allows us to continue to do things in a less damaging sort of way. I'm rambling, Jim. So easy to jet off to another place in your mind while spawning it out of your mouth. Stream of consciousness, aka verbal diarrhea. That's kind of what I do. That's like my gimmick. If I was a pro wrestler, my finishing move would be the ramble. Tell me about space-based solar power and beaming it to Earth. I could not possibly tell you about that because I know nothing about it. I certainly know I'm not a fan of a large amount of solar power based on how it's implemented in the current state. I find that it takes up a giant amount of space. that is equally concerning in my mind. It causes localization of heat on the ground in those areas. There's a bunch of stuff. I am not an expert. Maybe these things all have answers that I don't know, but that's all very concerning stuff. L1, L2, L3, L4, boosted afterwards, nom. I refuse to wear wool underwear. Put more spiders to work and get the silk thing going at scale, please. I actually have 3 spiders that I've hired, and I pay a fair wage. I feed them well. How about Klaus Schwab saying we need to eliminate billions of useless eaters? Who's Klaus Schwab? I don't know. Let me just quickly Google who the fuck Klaus Schwab is, because I bet. Executive chairman of the WEF. Oh, well, there's our problem right there. He is a monster. And I don't know anything about him except that he's the executive chairman of the WEF, or World Economic Forum, and therefore he is a monster. Needing to eliminate billions of useless eaters. What a terrible thing to say. I personally think our lowering birth rates is essentially going to have our population, or whatever the magic number will wind up being. And that will resolve what Mr. Schwab is so eloquently talking about, is the overpopulation of humans on the planet. That said, biofuel threatens food, solar threatens real estate, trade-offs. And this is why I say it's a complicated mix of all of these things. I'm not opposed to having solar panels or solar factories in general, or wind farms, or biofuel, or whatever. I think what we need to do is find a balance that allows us to have multiple sources, so we don't have to donate massive amounts of cropland solely to corn, for example, in the biofuel, or hemp, or whatever in the biofuel concept. When people talk about biofuel will solve everything, not fucking won't. The amount of territory required to actually meet our energy requirements with biofuel is massive, and that cuts into agriculture land. It cuts into natural space that needs to be maintained in order for the world to be a place with things on it. There is no easy answer. There's no button that we can push, because it wasn't a single button that we pushed to get here. We basically chose not to push buttons that were important, and just kept pushing the oil and gas one. And then eventually we were like, okay, also other oil and gas, like natural gas and propane and shit. Space has precious shit. Watch Don't Look Up if you want to laugh on that subject. I enjoyed that movie. I've seen some of the discourse about it, and there are people who are really annoyed about it, but I thought it was adorable. And I absolutely believe in a world where when there's a meteor hurtling at Earth that could be like an extinction level event, that the Bezoses are like, wait, before we let this thing fly on by, hear me out on this. Fucking monsters. Population should be controlled, obviously. Sigh. Hitler tried it, Stalin and Mao too, worked great. But the thing is, I don't think population should be controlled. I think that we are naturally going to control our population. And this is the thing with the lowering birth rates. We see that people are just not having 86 babies because of industrialization, and that will narrow our population growth, and in fact recede the population. We got here together, lurching from thing to thing, learning about tech as we went, solving existential problems while murdering our own. Yep, absolutely. I remember arguing with my mother when I was a very young boy about feminism, and about how, you've suddenly got twice as many women in the workplace, because I was a child and an idiot. And I didn't understand at the time that women were actively a part of the process right up until industrialization. And then all of a sudden it became less awesome for women to be in the workplace, because the workplace became more and more unsafe. And the hours and the degradation became greater. The risk, all of these things made it so that being a worker sucked shit, and the heroic male protector could step into that role of being the sole provider, the sole person at risk, and the woman could be in that maternal role and housekeeping role. And those are not cool. They're fine roles if that's what you want to do, but they're not that shouldn't be prescribed for the population just because we like to make a few dollars with cotton gins. I heard there's tons of old wind turbines in landfills. I don't know if that's true or not. I can't say, but I would be unsurprised. As technology evolves, I would say that wind turbine technology has dramatically changed. I mean, if you think about wind turbines as a concept, go back a really long time. I went once to in the fine city of Etsicom, and by city I mean village. They have a windmill museum, and you can go and walk through all the various windmills that were, brought there from time immemorial. Educating women and access to birth control is the single best indicator of improving conditions in third world countries and access to abortions. Just putting that out there. As the Americans are so quick to start fighting against the Roe v. Wade thing, access to abortions are just as vital as access to birth control. Birth control is the preventative, and abortion is the, oh fuck, I can't do this, I have a resolution that isn't just giving up a baby, which is an adorable way for conservatives to be like, just give it up for adoption. We'll adopt a baby. Fuck no. Have we learned anything yet? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We're not good at that. You guys are feisty today. I'm enjoying that. But yeah, I think we're in this position where we're making this assumption that the current state is the right state, and then going, oh my God, change is coming, and it's scary. Bender, you chicken. Man, is smoked aged Balderson cheese on English muffins with eggs is so good. Cheese, drool. Okay, I'm back. I'm glad you're back. In the world that leftists want, you would have just gone to your replicator and out would have come your smoked aged Balderson cheese on English muffin, and it would have been just as good. Yeah. Buck, motherfucker. You crazy kids with your buck challenges. Okay, let's look at the Demon Core, because this is interesting. Again, just to try to put a very neat bow on a very complex ramble that I just went on. 100% cool with nuclear, 100% cool with biofuel, 100% cool with having a broad and vast number of technologies all working together to provide the necessary level of energy and other related products necessary for us to continue doing our thing while improving automation, taxing the fuck out of the rich, and ensuring that we all get to live in peace and harmony with a universal base income based on the fact that we're all going to be out of jobs because robots are going to take them. A, replicators, B, holodecks, stat. Yes. I love Star Wars, so I know a lot about it. My favorite part in Star Wars, spoiler alert, is when the Cylons came and started shooting at Starbuck. That was like just the first time you saw that. It was such a gripping moment, and I was like, Star Trek forever. But not strange replicators. Those are note bots. Yeah. I don't know what that means. All right, let's look at the Demon Core. I'm gonna jump over to the old browser view. I love the concept of the Demon Core, and you will understand in a moment what I'm talking about. The Demon Core. We're gonna use Wikipedia. So this right here is the Demon Core. It's a spherical 6.2 kilogram or 14 pound subcritical mass of plutonium 89 millimeters in diameter, manufactured during World War II by the United States nuclear weapon development effort, the Manhattan Project, as a fissile core for an early atomic bomb. It was involved in two criticality accidents, on August 21st, 1945 and May 21st, 1946, each of which killed a person. So this little lump of metal right here is a killer. The core was intended for use in a possible third nuclear weapon to be dropped on Japan, but when Japan's surrender made this unnecessary, it was repurposed for testing. It was designed with a safety margin, or a small safety margin, What the fuck is Jim on about his demon core thing? Oh, you're gonna love this. This is pure Star Trek. How about solar panels on every building? There's actually, to answer that question, solar panels on every building. One of the things that they're talking about is, or that they've been experimenting with, is actual solar panels, essentially as a component of paint, so that the paint that you paint the outside of the building with can harness solar energy. That's some cool shit. YYC made it mandatory to use solar as how roofs are made, maybe. Yeah, that or to make it, yes, make it mandatory to use solar as how roofs are made. Solar or wind turbines, like what would stop us from having, not necessarily the wind turbines you see out in the middle of nowhere, but a wind turbine or 5 or 10 wind turbines on top of a building in a environment that's caged, so that you're not having geese get flayed, although fuck geese. How in the sweat titty fucking Christ have I never heard of this? Yes, this is some shit. It's back to the demon core. So again, intended for a third nuclear weapon to be dropped in Japan. Japan surrendered, didn't need to do it anymore, so we repurposed for testing. It was designed with a small safety margin to ensure a successful explosion of the bomb. The device briefly went supercritical when it was accidentally placed in supercritical configurations. You know what? This is spoiler alerting. So let's just jump down to the first incident. The core assembled was designed to be at -5 cents. I'm assuming that means centigrades. If I mouse over, oh, it says $1 unit. Oh, $1 is a unit of reactivity for a nuclear. Stupid dry house. For a nuclear reactor, calibrated to the interval between the conditions of delayed criticality and prompt criticality. $0 is defined to be the threshold of slow criticality, which means a steady reaction rate. $1 is defined to be the threshold of prompt criticality. I don't understand what any of that means, but in this state, there's only only a small safety margin against extraneous factors that might increase reactivity, causing the core to become supercritical and then prompt critical, a brief state of rapid energy increase. These factors are not common in the environment. They are circumstances like the compression of the solid metallic core, which would eventually be the method used to explode the bomb. The addition of more nuclear material or provision of an external reflector which would reflect outbound neutrons back to the core. The experiments conducted at Los Alamos leading to the 2 fatal incidents were designed to guarantee that the core was indeed close to the critical point by arranging such reflectors and seeing how much neutron reflection was required to approach supercriticality. On August 21st, 1945, the plutonium core produced a burst of neutron radiation that led to physicist Harry Daghlian's death. Daghlian made a mistake while performing nuclear reflector experiments on the core. He was working alone, a security guard. Private Robert J. Hemmerly was seated at a desk 10 to 12 feet away. The core was placed within a stack of neutron-reflective tungsten carbide bricks, and the addition of each brick moved the assembly closer to criticality. While attempting to stack another brick around the assembly, Daghlian accidentally dropped it onto the core and thereby caused the core to go well into supercriticality, a self-sustaining critical chain reaction. He quickly moved the brick off the assembly, but received a fatal dose of radiation. He died 25 days later from acute radiation poisoning. The second incident, and this is where, brace yourselves, dear reader, things are gonna get fucking wacky. On May 21st, 1946, physicist Louis Slotin and 7 other Los Alamos personnel were in Los Alamos laboratory conducting another experiment to verify the closeness of the core to criticality by the positioning of neutron reflectors. Slotin, who was leaving Los Alamos, was showing the technique to Alvin C. Graves, who would use it in a final test before the Operation Crossroads nuclear test scheduled a month later at Bikini Atoll. It required the operator, that's like Bikini Bottom. It required the operator to place 2 half spheres of beryllium, a neutron reflector, around the core to be tested and manually lower the top reflector over the core using a thumb hole on the top of it. As the reflectors were manually moved closer and farther away from each other, scintillation counters measured the relative activity from the core. The experimenter needed to maintain a slight separation between the reflector halves in order to stay below criticality. The standard protocol is to use shims between the halves, as allowing them to close completely could result in the instantaneous formation of a critical mass and a lethal power excursion. So that would be bad. Under Slotin's own unapproved protocol, the shims were not used, and the only thing preventing the closure was the blade of a standard flat-tip screwdriver manipulated in Slotin's other hand. Slotin, who was given to bravado, became the local expert, performing the test on almost a dozen occasions, often in his trademark blue jeans and cowboy boots, in front of a room full of observers. If there is anything more American than using a fucking flathead screwdriver to manage a nuclear reaction while wearing fucking cowboy boots, I don't know what it is. Scientists referred to this as flirting with the possibility of a nuclear chain reaction as tickling the dragon's tail, based on a remark by physicist Richard Feynman, who compared these experiments to licking the tail of a sleeping dragon. Or tickling. Ugh, I like licking better. On the day of the accident, Slotin's screwdriver slipped outward a fraction of an inch while he was lowering the top reflector, allowing the reflector to fall into place around the core. Instantly, there was a flash of blue light and a wave of heat across Slotin's skin. The core had become supercritical, releasing an intense burst of neutron radiation estimated to have lasted about half a second. Slotin quickly twisted his wrist, flipped the top shell to the floor. The heating of the core and shells stopped the criticality within seconds of its initiation. While Slotin's reaction prevented a recurrence and ended the incident, the position of Slotin's body over the apparatus also shielded the others from much of the neutron radiation, but he received a lethal dose of 1,000 rad neutron and 114 rad gamma radiation in under a second and died 9 days later from acute radiation poisoning. The nearest person to Slotin, Graves, who was watching over Slotin's shoulder and was thus partially shielded by him, received a high but non-lethal radiation dose. Graves was hospitalized for several weeks with severe radiation poisoning. He died 20 years later at age 55 of a heart attack. It may have been caused by hidden complications from radiation exposure, but could also have been geriatric in nature, as his father had died from the same cause. So, that's the Demon Core. You may be asking, whatever happened to that motherfucker? The Demon Core was intended to be used in Operation Crossroads nuclear tests, but after the criticality accident, time was needed for its radioactivity to decline and for it to be reevaluated for the effects of the fission products. It held some of which, fission products it held, some of which could be very poisonous to the desired level of fusion. The next two cores were shipped for use in Able and Beaker, and the Demon Core was scheduled to be shipped later in the third test of the series, provisionally named Charlie. But that test was canceled due to the unexpected level of radioactivity resulting from the underwater Baker test and the inability to decontaminate the target warships. The core was later melted down and the material recycled for use in other cores. So, the Demon Core lives on through recycling because you never truly destroy it. You can only allow it to demon on forever. Fucking grim, right? Like, holy shit. There's a little piece of history. Hey, look at me. I'm in cowboy boots and I got a screwdriver. Let's do nuclear experiments. What could go wrong? These are the reasons why we have OSHA, or whatever Canada calls it. You know what I mean. So, how cool was that as a story? That's the most grim fucking shit I've ever heard. Yes. And this is why I say I'm not opposed to nuclear power, because we've learned some shit along the way, like not to be a fucking idiot with it, not to use a screwdriver to manage your exposure to the radiation. Things like that have taught us how to properly wield and how to manage this stuff. Thunderfoot, who was a giant piece of shit in all other aspects, he works as a nuclear physicist, if I understand correctly. And he did a video once where he went like in with a Geiger counter into the reactor area and did, Geiger counter readings. And like, it was a remarkably safe environment because it's a very controlled, very housed thing. That doesn't mean there's no risks. It means our risks are, as we learn more and more about this technology, our risks are managed more. Electric appliances used to kill people regularly before learnings and safety codes, etc. Yeah, absolutely. Just like the guy who stole a bunch of ion smoke detectors in the States and tried to build a bomb and or reactor. Yeah, that might be a thing. And you don't even like it's not that hard to get your hands on enough radioactive material to make a dirty bomb. I'm not suggesting anyone do that. I'm not gonna like, oh yeah, just do these things. Don't make nuclear bombs. Bad. Not doing the like, don't do that. I'm like, literally, don't do that. It's bad. But it can be fucking done. I wonder about bioengineering and gene sequencing and splicing, etc. With regards to what? Because all those things are cool technologies, and they have plenty of. I'm sure it's all kosher, CRISPR. You know, that is an interesting topic. There's good, and there's not so good, and or kosher and non-kosher, kosher and halal. I don't know. However, that would be phrased. I'm not a religious food theologian. Definitely, like China got in some serious brouhaha because they had a guy who was like going way off the rails with CRISPR shit, programming things in a really grim way. When I did inspections, we had to carry those detectors in our van. We got warning stickers on our vans to say what we carried. I said we needed a radioactive nuclear material, and head office said no because the states said they didn't want bad people getting any ideas and knocking over our bans for dirty bomb making. Ha ha ha. Not all that like that. That's one of those weird what is the right answer kind of moments. Like. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if I was the person making that call, there is absolutely a degree of truth that says that if you have a sign on it, it's like, this van contains nuclear material, some motherfucker's going to try a thing. Hopefully not, but I feel like that's a very real possibility. And at the same time, you want people to be aware. Yeah, ooh. What a strange scenario. When did you do inspections that involve nuclear power, my friend? There's a job I did not know you had. I definitely brought it up to be a shit disturber, but also a stickler for safety rules. Fair. I think both of those things are fair. All right, I think I'm going to jump out and have a quick stretch of my lungs, and I'm going to put on some fantastic music. Yeah. I just started the wrong program. We'll start the right program now. And any requests, and by requests I mean of the horrible music that I make that none of you have any idea what the various names are. You want to hear Bender scream into a microphone? You know, anytime Bender wants to come on Discord, we can do that. I did fire alarm inspections and went to some crazy places and dealt with some crazy businesses. That actually makes some sense. Now that is more clear. Because, yeah, for a minute there I was like, wait a tick, fella. What are you telling me? Man. What a wacky world. I'm not going to make you guys listen to the Bryan Adams half-completed cover. I'm going to play. This is before I'm going to leave. This will be kind of awful.
Awful? Ooh.
You. Is that even going to work? If I rewind this and press play, I need to see if this is actually playing in OBS or not. Freedom. Oh, it is. Okay, cool. This is something I did when I was bored. That's some motherfucking bullshit. You say the wrong thing, they'll lock your ass up quick. Good enough. That was all you needed to hear. It's just a few seconds of my doing a madrigal of Ice-T's freedom of speech. You can never unhear that. You're right. You know what? Sometimes you just gotta pray for Alzheimer's. Oh, man. You can hear me play guitar. Yeah, I'd love to hear you. It's been a long time since I've heard you play guitar, except for on your TikToks, my friend. All right, I'm just going to press play and hope that this isn't terrible. I think this is good. Yeah, this is a good one. Okay. Oh, why am I hitting record and not play? There we go. Okay, I will be right back. my, we have not done our year in preview, which I had promised. Do you compose this music, Jim? Cool, I like it. Sorry, it doesn't say cool. I just totally invented that. Yes, I do. This is so I got this tool called Reaper, which is a very, very awesome digital audio interface workstation thing. And it does cool stuff like allow me to play my bass and record. But it also has all this cool stuff that I can do to just play. So that's all just me doing stupid stuff. Jim job, Jim. Hey, we're getting you a new job, Jim. Jim job, Jim. I'll take whatever jobs. I'm not too proud to whore myself out. TinyBootyBuddha.com. Oh, where? I missed a whole bunch. In my Grimquilt Metal project, I'll be doing the same vocals, so I need you to be Job. As for going live with Jimbo, there has been mutterings of something to that effect. Patience, Job. Lol. I can definitely not understand large parts of that. I think you mean you have to be patient. Job is a weird name because one could be unsure if the person is saying Job or Job. Fuck English and biblical names. Yes, I will wait patiently like Job. Get a Job. Oh, you know what? Yeah, the next time I go for a break, I will play. I am actually just gonna get that Tiny Buddha link. 10 positive things to do for yourself in the new year. I might be thinking of the wrong thing here. I'm rambly, half thinking, half saying. Is this a video? Oh, this is a. Oh, we can go through this. Actually, this is 10 positive things to do for yourself in the new year. So we can go through that in a second. And then there's a YouTube link. Oh, I do love me some Sadhguru. Do you compose me all those vibe in his music with my level of bakedness is having a core cerebral effect of shenanigans. Yes. Duke Nukem wants his demon core back. Don't we all? All right, so let's do our year in preview, and then we can have that all out of the way, because this is important. It's, I'm going to use my magical clairvoyance powers, which I think are vital for all of us today. Just going to quickly check one thing real quick. Yeah, okay, cool. So the year in preview, what was I thinking? I was actually wanting to look at what the new year held and sort of try and speculate on some of the stuff, hopefully in a positive way. Hopefully, there's a lot of negative in the world, and the last thing we need is more fucking negative from some shitbag leftist guy like me. So hopefully this will be positive. And a lot of the times, because of the way my brain works, it'll be both positive and negative all at the same time. Quickly check a thing quick. Yes, I speak the English real goodest. Do you have a problem with this? I have two poles. Well, technically I'm bimodal. Because I have two extremes, and I have a great vast space between where most of the time you'll find some distribution of the gym. Anyways, year in preview. First and foremost, politics. 2022 is not going to be a particularly political year in Canada in terms of stuff. What I will predict in Canada is in 2023, at least in Alberta, we have our next provincial election. So I think 2022, we're going to start to see the Klein prophecy. And by the Klein prophecy, if you cut a magnet in two, it has a north and south pole in each half. That's true. Same thing with the Earth. If you cut it in half, you get two Santas. And a lot more penguins. Why don't they do that if they want to save the penguins? So we don't have an election in the province in 2022. We have one in 2023. The Klein Principle is something that I just coined as we started talking here. Ralph Klein would do this thing where he would cut the ever-loving fuck out of every single social program, and then the year before the election, all of a sudden, he would start spending. And everyone, because we're all dumb, would be like, oh my God, he spent so much and made so many systems that he had previously destroyed better. We should vote for him again. I think that's what's going to happen. So that's a negative in the sense that, we had to go through hell to get here. And it's a negative in the sense that it is a common conservative ploy to win the next election. But it's a positive because I think that we might actually see some improvements in the world, temporary though they may well be. Hey, me mama, learn how to take from that what you will. You'll decline. Yes, remove the Klein. But that is the thing that I am predicting is that 2022, in at least in my province, will see an increase in public spending. In the U.S., of course, 2022 is when we have the midterm elections. Depending on who you ask, this will mean that President Trump becomes president again, but only because those people are insane, and that's not how American democracy works. But I think there's an interesting potential for the midterm elections. A lot of people are worried that because Biden is such a fucking joke, that more Republicans' seats will be swung. My prediction, based on my reading of the coffee leaves, is that won't happen because COVID has removed a large number of conservative voters. That's a thing. I don't think Biden can, call this a guaranteed win by any stretch, because he's so really good at really not being really, really good, really. But I'm curious to see what the effect of COVID has on conservative voting. All hail decline, may the currency be Ralph Bucks forever. Take the OH out of the country, Middle Alberta must go away. Take the OH out of the country. Ohio? Middle Alberta must go away. I don't understand what that means at all. I'm clearly missing something. But that's not the first time. Anyways, that's my prediction is that we're actually going to see a strengthening of the Democratic Party in the midterm elections, which is hopefully going to result in not having a 50-50 tie when it comes to, is it the Senate, where everything's getting held up? I don't recall. I don't really care about American politics. But the Manchin situation, if you can get a couple more people who are going to vote in line, then Manchin loses all of his power. Biden's dementia is becoming so apparent. I don't know if it's dementia or what, but definitely, like, he was a poor choice. He is not a good choice at this point. I do think that he is nothing but a letdown and a leader. And you know what? If Betty White can die, Joe, it's time, buddy. You've had your day in the sun. Yes, that would mean President Kamala Harris, which does not fill my heart with joy either. I've been pretty clear all along that Kamala Harris is not someone that I'm particularly fond of. Because I don't get enough of a vibe out of Kamala Harris. She's playing the Mike Pence card very well. Mike Pence was a very, very vocal Republican right up until he became vice president, and he just shut the fuck up. Biden did more than Trump or Obama. I would say, I would argue the Obama thing, and I would say that Trump did a lot. Trump's presidency, I look back on it like a case of ADHD. I really feel like Trump's presidency was almost purely like this confusing start a project, drop a project, start a project, drop a project, which is why I say ADHD. It's that inability to get things done. The fact that people think that he was successful at all is astonishing because he didn't, like, the first thing he talked about was repealing healthcare. How'd that go? Or repealing Obamacare and replacing it with a really much better system. Didn't even come close. Could you imagine the right would storm the swear-in guaranteed if Harris became president? Yeah, they would not be okay with President Kamala. That's for certain. And hearing the number of times they intentionally mispronounced Kamala's name to either Kamala or Camel or Kamala would just be so annoying. Biden has the same glazed look of dementia patients as patients I've cared for. Yeah, I don't doubt that he's a very broken toy at this point. It's interesting because really the American system is such that one person may have a lot of power but doesn't have all the power. And that is being proved time and time again to be a really good decision. Trump wrested a lot of that power away, which is sort of confusing. Is why we kind of think of the president as being more powerful than they are, because Trump was sort of unchecked. But realistically, Joe is not doing good. Let's go, Brandon. I hate that. So yeah, President Kamala would be not my favorite thing, much like President Pence would have been not my favorite thing, and for quite similar reasons. If you scratch the surface of Kamala Harris, you see a very different picture than the Kamala Harris that you see talking, which doesn't happen very often either. But I struggle to believe that Kamala Harris is as progressive as she claims to be, simply because history of her actions shows otherwise. That said, it would probably be better than President Biden. It's a gnarly lesser of two evils, both examples. Yeah, it really is. In the case of President Pence, which was a potential, very real potential, this would be our first shock jock right-wing DJ as president. That would have been a neat time. And all of your vaginas would have been on public ownership, I think. He was more than a little terrifying. So I don't really think that Joe Biden is going to die. I feel like the might of the American medical establishment is there to keep people like him and Trump alive, because they are wealthy and powerful. But we prefer to call it ogre pussy. Oh, thank fuck. Ogre pussy comes back for that. To be honest, ogre pussy is one of my favorite moments of all of 2021. That one, and the being a rhombus male was huge for me. Really, really defining points. So what's the economy going to do in 2022? I think the economy is going to do well, and I base this on the fact that we're going to be going back to work, safe or unsafe. And it's kind of a let the chips fall where they may, let the healthcare system burn kind of a vibe that they've got going on right now, which is not very cool. I legit, I'm more than a bunch scared of Omicron. Not because Omicron is scary, but because Omicron feels like the step before the horrible mutation that comes along. And God, I hope I'm wrong. But assuming that 2022 does not involve a massive outbreak of whatever comes next that wipes out a huge number of people, show us your rhombus, motherfucker. I ain't showing you my rhombus. I am definitely a left-leaning rhombus. That's just how I do. As far as the economy goes, I think, barring any sudden explosions, I think we will go back to business as usual. We will. The push seems to be to take COVID as just a fact of life now, and including all of the death associated with it. And I don't know that I disagree, because we didn't do what we needed to do in the beginning to get ahead of it and stop it from being a fact of life. AHS needs to burn? Oh, I don't agree with that at all. I kind of like having healthcare. I'm a big fan of healthcare. I don't know what you mean by AHS needs to burn. I'm assuming it's more than just we should stop having public healthcare. Knowing what I know about you, that would be a surprising take. But I don't want it to burn. Yeah, COVID brings up the question of, are we going to have a summer? And the answer is COVID, I don't think is going to stop us from having a summer. Climate change will, but not COVID. And I think we're just, there's so much COVID fatigue and so much people just stop caring. And I get it. Unless that changes, unless a lot of minds get swayed, I think we're just going to push forward, and we'll have our Fort Lauderdale super spreaders and our, giant parties, and gigs will come back and all of that stuff. And we'll just pretend like it's not happening around us. It's that's just gross, but that's a thing. Nobody gives a flying flipping fuck anymore. That's sadly true. Realistically, like, we talk about quarantine. Like, a quarantine is a whole different thing than what we experienced. You want to quarantine, you literally like wrap a fence around a place where a disease exists and set up troops. And anyone who crosses that fence, you shoot to kill until there is an answer. That's what a quarantine really looks like. If there's an Ebola virus outbreak, they're not being told to shelter at home. They're being told, step outside the fucking fence and you will die. We didn't come anywhere near that. Fuck, we didn't even like stop international travel. We didn't close our borders. We didn't do any of the things necessary. And so this became a pandemic that rode through and now is proving to be a fast evolving virus that, it is a fact of life, and it's not a good fact of life, but it's gonna be. I used to carry an empty box in my work van. It was full of all the fucks I have to give. I get it. I feel all the frustration. Last night, I had a moment. A year ago, when we had New Year's Eve, and it was at home, I remember being like, this is actually kind of nice. I have been a concert promoter for so long, and New Year's Eve was always a huge stress day where I was running like 10 bands for $10 or some ridiculous shit show like that. And it was kind of nice to have a New Year's Eve where I think I went to bed early. Like, I just did not give a fuck. Last night was the New Year's Eve where I was like, this sucks. This fucking sucks. I don't want to be out on New Year's Eve. I don't want to be partying with people and, licking each other's faces and sticking my tongue down people's throats and shit. It's not what I want because of COVID. But if we didn't have COVID, that's exactly what I would want to be doing. And it kind of sucked. Hello, Russian internet bot. Vum.ngo. That's a fine comment you've made. This frightens me. AHS is egos. Supply chain interruptions. Supply chain interruptions will continue as long as we wind up in this situation of where things are bad. I see. I missed a point. When all three major highways in BC kind of got flooded out, I was still able to get one-day Amazon delivery every week. Supply interruptions, bullshit. Yes and no. There is some validity to supply chain interruptions. There's a lot of bullshittery around it. But the beginning of COVID, remember we watched that video about the cargo ships, and it was actually really fascinating and talked about the fact that essentially when China reopened and we didn't, it created this monster nightmare of all the shipping containers and what that meant. Ultimately, supply chain is so much stronger than we give it credit for, but to a certain degree, it's all so full of shit. All right, let's take a look at this link that was it Duchess Nukem sent, I think. I just want to see what. That's not the right link. I hit copy, but it didn't copy. Copy. Paste. All right, I'm gonna switch my view. And we'll read this together because I don't know what this is. All right. Global recognition grows for AHS. Invitation to join the World Economic Forum Coalition gives Albertans access to cutting-edge research and resources. The The people-centered focus and groundbreaking holistic systems approach of AHS have caught the eye of the World Economic Forum, which has invited AHS to join its global coalition for value in healthcare to play a role in shaping future healthcare on the international stage. That should make me feel very, very good, but it does not. The recognition is a feather in the hat of AHS, one which promises benefits and resources for Albertans down the road, says Richard Luanzuk, Senior Medical Director, Health Systems Integration. Membership allows us to be internationally cutting edge, he says. It lets us play in the big leagues. The goal of the global coalition is to accelerate the transformation towards value-based healthcare. That, I don't know what this means, value-based healthcare, but that puts chills in my spine. Formed last fall, the coalition asked its members, how can we eliminate the US $3.2 trillion of annual global health spending that makes no or minimal contribution to good health outcomes? Ooh, I hate that. I genuinely hate that. Maybe I'm too negative and hostile, but like, damn. When we talk about how do we eliminate the 3.2 trillions of annual global health spending that makes no or minimal contribution to good health outcomes, like what exactly does any of that mean? I think that the global health spending is good. Not every dollar is going to make a massive contribution to good health outcomes, but I'd be stunned to think that there's $3.2 trillion annually globally that's just being wasted. I don't know. The coalition shares our patient-centered views on healthcare and how by putting people first, savings will flow naturally. We're in August company, Harvard, the Mayo Clinic, Intermountain Health, Duke University, and many others. As we become known, it will help us attract the best people, attract the best ideas, and attract more research money. There's a lot of benefit to having this membership. The coalition's goals align with those of AHS when it comes to recognizing the rights of individuals and introducing more of a social responsibility into healthcare. Again, words that shouldn't cause me to have so many chills, but do. I have a buddy in Port Alberni, and he was somewhere on the island. I forgot where it's done, and he had the films of all the shipping containers moving in and out of the channel and bullshit as well. I value my life. I value getting healthcare without being bankrupt or turned away because I can afford it, or I can't afford it. I value a healthcare system focused on health, not a healthcare business focused on profit and fuck your health. I value honesty and transparency, unless you look at my browser history and you don't even think about looking at benders. I've never seen anything holistic in all my years with AHS. We are sick care, not healthcare. That I absolutely agree. And I think that's a problem in general with the way that healthcare is implemented as a service with limited funding. Realistically, like when they talk about the waste in healthcare, this $3.2 trillion annually globally, I feel like, you know, maybe if we stop putting the cart before the horse and we start like actually trying to, like, what am I trying to say? We promote a bigger, healthier society image kind of a thing, but we do it by like participation ads and shit like that, and being like, yeah, you know what? Everyone should just be healthy. But we don't do it by things like, I don't know, access to mental health, prescription drugs, dental coverage, things that are intended, like dental coverage is one that I talk about a lot for reasons that I think are mouth obvious. But dental abscess is one of the leading causes of stroke. So why are we waiting until someone has a stroke to do any kind of medical intervention when we could just deal with bad teeth and save probably a shit ton of money and quality of life? Yeah, you need a psychologist and pharmacy on standby if you stumbled into that shit show. Yes. And honestly, what this reads like, the reason it's so disconcerting is this reads like business model jargon and vision statement jargon and the kind of stuff that I associate with a business of healthcare rather than a service of healthcare. The evolving framework at AHS towards spending and value-based healthcare asks 4 questions. What is the benefit to our population in terms of health? What's the experience of the patient? Will they be happier? What's the cost to the system? And what's the experience to the provider? Are providers happier? I'm not sure that I'm not the one who knows healthcare in this wild world of ours, but I don't feel like those are the important questions. Like, the what's the benefit to our population in terms of health is an important question, but I don't know that we would have the same answer, me and like this guy here, who I'm assuming is Luen Juk. And then the experience of the patient, like, kind of fucking don't care. I feel like that there's always a need to, be considering the experience of the patient. That's why we don't do things like surgery without anesthetic. But there's a certain, like, will they be happier? That's a non-quantifiable thing. I don't know if I even like that as like, factoring the concept of what the patient experience is probably important, but like, second on a list of things is a little bit concerning. The third being the cost of the system. Like, fuck the cost, who cares? And the experience of the provider, zero fucks. So yeah, AHS. Let me clarify what I was saying earlier. I absolutely value a public healthcare system. I don't know that AHS is the answer for that public healthcare system, or at least the way that they are currently running. I literally don't know, because I'm not, like, I don't work there. I don't know what the day-to-day is, but it's super weird to me when I read an article like that that's talking about, my foot, fuck. That's talking about the happiness of providers. This whole notion of, like, we need to attract the best and brightest. We need to, befriend the Mayo Clinic and stuff. Like, the Mayo Clinic, that's not the same model that we use. The Mayo Clinic, yeah, they're doing revolutionary work, as a lot of for-profit hospitals in the U.S. are. I watch Grey's Anatomy. I understand how things go. But that's not the healthcare system that we want. We absolutely want to attract the best and brightest doctors. I don't think you're going to do that by caring about healthcare providers. I think you're going to do that by spending on wages and spending on opportunities to improve, and looking at holistic systems and how we can, create a better overall healthcare system. As are providers happy? Depends on whether they're businesses or doctors and nurses. Yeah, because I'm sure that we're not talking about doctors and nurses when we're talking about, are the providers happy? That sounds like, is big pharma and the manufacturers of MRIs and like, how do we make our people that we're buying shit from happy? Maybe I'm wrong. Poor COVID outcomes are so related to comorbidities, yet no advice over these years to do anything to prevent or reverse them. This is where we get into the sketchy realm of the obesity question, I think. A lot of people are talking about, like, obesity as the sort of the one of the key comorbidities. And I absolutely agree that participation ads and the Canada Food Guide and shit are not in any way designed to resolve that. It's like this. That there, Pam Tarbox, Barb Tarbox, I don't fucking care. Doesn't matter to me. This message is the key. So it says, "Look at the power of the cigarette. Remember this face, and that smoking killed me. Barb Tarbox died at 42 of lung cancer caused by cigarettes." Now, obviously, I don't spend a lot of time reading these. These also don't in any way dissuade me from buying terrible fucking cigarettes and continuing this stupid fucking habit that is killing me and will kill me faster because of high cholesterol. Yay, hoo hoo hoo. To me, like, the things that we do, we're not cracking down on fast food industry. We're not cracking down on the use of ridiculous sweeteners in every single product and the availability of cheap horrible for you, diabetes causing foodstuffs. We're not cracking down on cigarettes, right? They just jack up the taxes to make more revenue off it, and then throw more and more gruesome imagery on them and be like, oh, we're doing our part. No one quits smoking because they're like, oh shit, this kills people. I had no idea. Thank fuck I know and can stop. There will be resources available to AHS because of the coalition's industrial membership, says Lou and Jacques. It gives us access to international corporations and business in the field of healthcare. The smoking gun in that entire article. Read this again. It says Lou and Chuck, it gives us access to international corporations and business in the field of healthcare. Fat shaming again, Jim? No, I'm not fat shaming. These are facts. I am fat. I recognize the fact. I don't know that I would consider myself morbidly obese, but I'm certainly not skinny. And that could mean a comorbidity should I encounter COVID. I think it's important that we spread the message of healthy lifestyle choices. And I think it's important from a healthcare perspective that we encourage in more tangible ways making good choices and having access to, like, imagine if you just said every single citizen, I don't know, I'm talking bullshit right now. Don't come at me with who's going to pay for it. But imagine if every single citizen had access to a personal trainer and a gym covered by the government, right? I'm not saying that's the answer. I'm just like, this is literally 10 seconds of thinking. But imagine the difference in healthcare outcomes, not just from COVID, but from in general, just to have that access so that poor people could also go to the gym. I know, let's penalize fat people or people who smoke. Jim, you smoke, therefore you get lung cancer, you must pay for it yourself. Yeah, I don't think that that's what I'm saying at all. I don't want to pay for my lung cancer. Why is there someone selling you the cigarettes? Why are they making their profit off your loss? Not only that, but the price of this here pack of cigarettes is almost entirely, not entirely, but like is largely taxed. So the actual tobacco companies who are the sinister cunts in all of this, oh, I said a bad word, sinister bastards in all this, are not the ones getting the richest off it. That's a thing that's always really, really bothered me. The amount of tax revenue that is intentionally tied to cigarettes and alcohol and a variety of other things, the sin taxes. And then the government has no motivation to do things to help that. They genuinely, they don't care if I smoke. I'm bringing in revenue. I'm a good taxpayer. The false equivalencies are going to give me a fucking aneurysm. Eat less and move more is BS. It's all about what you put in and out of your body. And I think move more is still important. But I agree. I think it's also like, we don't teach people portion control. We don't teach people all of that kind of shit. But where's the money coming from? Free gym membership. No, I am not serious about free gym membership. I'm using an example. I'm not saying, and therefore when I become class president, everyone will get access to the gymnasium for free. Walking, running, overrated. Give me my scooter and supersized. Yes, I said supersized double quarter pounder meal and 10 nuggies. And that's a choice you're going to make. I personally think that health is good. I like to go for runs. I have not done that much because of the intense COVID hate thing that comes, but I get so mad watching TV when every commercial is pushing toxic products to put in and out of your body or your clothes, in your air. Cancer is big business. Yeah, that is facts. I guess the comparison I would draw is if you make freely available I can't remember the name of it, but there's a pill that is designed to prevent the contracting of HIV. And that's fantastic. And to deal with symptoms. But if I understand correctly, you take the pill, your body has a natural resilience that increases your ability to withstand HIV should you be encountering it in the wild, wild world. So that is a good thing. But also, condoms are a good thing. And promoting the use of condoms and teaching kids that condoms are good is good. This is kind of what I'm roundabout saying is it's not it's too little too late when you get a diagnosis and say, oh, now we need to do these things and they're going to, cost for the rest of your life, versus now we can have a larger systemic program that will prevent these things from ever being a concern. Oh, you damn well know I'm being facetious. I'm just lazy. That's a fact. Yeah, I do know that, Bender. Of course I know that. I know you. But I know people who, like, we live in a world where people are fucking protesting because masks will hold carbon dioxide against your nose and make you die. That's fucking ridiculous. And so I guarantee you, if they did things like put a sin tax on top of nuggies that was suddenly making McDonald's really, really out of the realm of affordability, there are people who would be fucking storming the Capitol. We got here a link from I Am Canadian. Let's see what this is. Hopefully it's not him being angry at me for even suggesting free access to gyms. Borgor King. Oh, I'm gonna bring this on stream. So here we have the Borgor King Triple Whopper with cheese parts. Our Triple Whopper sandwich features 3/4 pound, technically that's the weight before cooking, savory flame-grilled beef patties topped with melted American cheese, juicy tomatoes, fresh lettuce, creamy mayonnaise, ketchup, crunchy pickles, and sliced white onions on a soft sesame seed bun. This is just the entree, 1,300 calories. Just out of curiosity, let's just go. What number of calories is healthy per day? Now, I know this is not an exact science, but recommended daily calorie intake in the U.S. around 2,500 for men and 2,000 for women. So if you eat the 1,300 calorie Triple Whopper with cheese for one of your entree only meals. Oh wait, we have let's go with the medium. So that would be 3,867 calories from adding the medium drink and medium side. Oh shit, fuck. As if anyone does medium. I do medium, but like that's not a normal thing. That's more than what they're saying is healthy for your entire day in one fucking meal. Add in nuggies and dipping sauce. I feel like shit gets real crazy real quick. Man, I'm rambly today. Holy shit. Predictions for the future. Climate change. You may be thinking I'm going to say that we will have a total climate shutdown by the end of 2022, and I will absolutely not say that. I don't think that will happen by the end of 2022. I do think it will happen because I do think that the people who are in places of power and capable of making change are too cowardly to do so. But climate change will continue to be, like I said earlier, that's the thing that will fuck over our having a summer. It's not COVID. It will be, oh, hey, everyone, you can go out and party. But also the air is thick with smoke from wildfires all around. And, oh, mind the mudslides. Like BC, I Am Canadian can attest to this. BC's had something of a fucked up year. It would be really, 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 really easy to imply that might have had something to do with global climate change. You're good? Do you need me?
No, I'm right.
Okay, cool.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Might have something to do with global climate change. Or it could just be that for reasons unknown, totally unrelated to anything systemic or problematic, that we just keep, surprisingly, having weird weather events that just keep happening in close succession. But that's normal. It's normal. It's totally normal. There's nothing to see here. Nothing we could do to fix it. I'd lead the fucking charge. I'd be Buffalo Head Man. His name is the Q Shaman, and you will show him love. Oh, this is even better. Oh, this is McDonald's. McDonald's menu health information. What do we got? Hit me, daddy, with that McDonald's. Ooh, the double Big Mac. No, I don't want McDonald's to know my location. Fuck you, McDonald's. Let's see what the double Big Mac has to share with us. 730 calories, 4 100% Canadian beef patties. Although, to be fair, these are fuck off small burger patties. Nutritional Summary. So 730 calories. That's not as bad as the triple Whopper, to be fair. 16 grams of saturated fat, 1 gram of trans fats. 85% of your daily intake of saturated and trans fats. That's a little bit of an unnerving thing. 68% of your total fat intake for the day. 43% of all the salt you need. Thank goodness they're meeting our salt requirements. And 16% of your carbs, 12% of your fiber. Oh, I'm surprised that it's that high in fiber, honestly. 45% of your daily value of iron. I personally don't think this is as bad as the triple Big Mac. Sorry, the triple Whopper. But I mean, again, I'm no nutritionologist, so I could be way fucking wrong on that. Let's see. The calories BS. It's about food quality. Yes, absolutely. Calories is literally not a thing that ultimately makes a fucking difference. And it's a go-to for our understanding of things because we have like no understanding of things. So calories we ascribe to some valuable sentiment, where in fact things like understanding the types of food that we're putting in our system and the amounts of how our body processes that food is way more important. When I got super fat, I went to my doctor and I was like, I've never been super fat before and I kind of don't want to continue to be. How do I fix that? And what he said was, he's like, it's not a question of calories, it's what you're putting in your system. The chances are you're eating a lot of sugary bullshit, which I was. It's like, you're probably eating a lot of pasta and a lot of, meat and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's true. It's like, yeah, what you want to do is up the amount of healthy vegetables that you're eating, because those are simple carbohydrates. Your body breaks those down a lot better. Maybe not kale, I have no idea. But the rest of them, your body can break them down better. So essentially, you're doing better things with what you're putting into your system. And then when I was dating Karina, she taught me about this thing called portion control, which was all about, like, you don't have to eat 7,000 fucking pounds of food. Because I'm literally like, mountain of food on my plate, eat it all and be like, oh, it's been 7 seconds and I'm still hungry. I must still be hungry, as opposed to waiting 20 minutes and finding out whether or not you actually are hungry. So yeah, calories are bullshit. Food quality is a huge differentiation. 1,200 calories of processed food versus real food is not equal. You are absolutely right. I can't believe all the snow the island got. Is that normal? Uh-oh, I always said that I should have done the Golden Arches 12-step program before doing it for cocaine. Well, the good news is you can always go to McNonymous and get the help that you need. Check the salt. Yeah, the sodium content on that one was huge. And sodium is that's the nasty shit. That's I may be completely wrong on this, but that's where we get like the plaque in our veins, which I think is tied to cholesterol, but I'm not sure. I don't eat a lot of salt, except for like in processed food. I cook with salt, but I don't cook with like, holy shit, let's put some fucking salt on that sumbitch. I use it as a reasonable amount of seasoning. I don't put it on things where you wouldn't normally, my sister used to put it on peanut butter, because, salt is a flavor accentuator, and she would put salt in her peanut butter and be like, oh, that's even peanut buttery. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking gross. So yeah, sodium's a monster. High nutrition per calorie should be a measure versus just calories. And I think that, like, the more that they put into those labels of things like what is the percentage of your daily value of X, Y, or Z, it's sort of the same as the warning on the cigarette pack. Like, you feel like you're getting more information, but you don't understand that information. At the end of the day, when you eat a McDonald's hamburger, there is nothing good that will come of it. It's not like there's ever a point where you're like, shit, I have way low on my daily value of sodium. I really need to up my fucking sodium today. I better eat that McDonald's. Unless you suffer from severe low blood pressure, which I have a friend who does. But the rest of us, we aren't making this. We're not capable of assimilating this information in order to make good choices. The McShits are called that for a reason. That's a lot of fiber. Grease just lubes the pipes. I don't feel like McDonald's has fiber at all. Like, I'm fairly certain that there's nothing, or at least if there is fiber, it's not quote unquote good fiber. When I was growing up, my mom had a friend who was on a salt diet. What in the actual fuck? That can be a very important diet for somebody with dangerously low blood pressure. So my best friend has dangerously low blood pressure and literally has to be very aware of the amount of salt that she's bringing in. And if she doesn't get enough salt, she can have serious, legitimate problems. She went through years of vertigo, and that was directly tied to low blood pressure. The doctor has basically said the next step is if you're having these kinds of experiences, pop some fucking salt, because the only thing that was working other than that was amphetamines. It was about a high salt intake to lose weight, if memory serves. Okay, that's fucking weird. The cholesterol myth: it doesn't cause heart disease. Sugar does. Cholesterol is essential for brain function. I definitely agree. Cholesterol is I remember when we were learning about, when I was a kid and we're learning about cholesterol, we were also bombarded with the cholesterol. What was it, the crisis of high cholesterol that we were all being smashed with. And every food product, you're buying bags of potato chips that are like cholesterol reduced or whatever, or vegetables that had no cholesterol. Yeah, no shit. My understanding of cholesterol, and I could be wrong, is that it's not a good thing. It's good for brain function. It's particularly important, and this is why I mentioned, being a kid at the time. It's particularly important in the formulation of things like estrogen and testosterone. Cholesterol is a building block for building those chemicals within our bodies. Again, could be wrong. It's been a couple of weeks since my last science class. My understanding is that there is such a thing as too much cholesterol, and that it's bad, but it's not the bugbear that we think it is. Cholesterol-lowering drugs are causing dementia. That's fucked. Especially since I've been prescribed them. Oh, sure, that's a valid diet for salt. That was definitely, this was definitely not that. Yeah, no, that's, unless that salt is like amphetamines or amphetamine salt, because that would explain using a high amphetamine diet to lose weight would certainly, that would do the fucking trick. Yeah, so again, I am by no means a medical expert. Duchess Nukem is much more so than I. My take on the whole thing is kind of the same as the do your own research YouTube crowd. I don't know the answers, and I'm mostly going on what I hope is the best advice I'm getting, and it may not be. And that might be foolish, it might be dangerous, but, I can't be an expert on all the things. So when my doctor says, hey, your cholesterol is a little bit high, I will take that as I should do something about it. Hopefully I'm not being misled. When my cigarettes tell me that they're bad, I feel like that's a pretty clear indicator that they are not good for me. Although I remember seeing loads of research that was, again, looking at diet and saying that people who were smokers who had high diets high in things like beta carotene that are theorized to be cancer fighters. We're not having cancers at the same rates and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know the validity of any of this, but it's an interesting thing of like, okay, well, so what does true actually look like? Because I don't even fucking know. I literally have no idea. I should use my prophecying, but unfortunately, I'm terrible at it. Not bad if you have healthy blood vessels. Sugar causes inflammation. Inflammation equals atherosclerosis. I'm so good at the Englishing today, although technically atherosclerosis is not English, it's Latin. I believe that inflammation is like a much bigger problem than we give it credit for. And so, yeah, inflammation bad. And healthy blood vessels, I have no idea if I have healthy blood vessels. All I know is I have tiny veins, tiny little bitch veins. I had a nurse come to draw blood so that I could get life insurance once upon a time, long, long ago. And she just had a hell of a time finding veins because mine are tiny little veins that don't vein well. But my arms haven't fallen off, so obviously my circulation works. So we didn't really do a lot of year in review there, did we? I will recap. Midterm elections, I think we're going to see more Democrats. I think we're going to see President Kamala, maybe not in 2022, but maybe in 2023. Economy will be fine. Conservatives are going to start investing in public services as a way to bribe us into continuing to vote for them. COVID's going to be fucked. Climate change is going to ruin our summer. And the police will still have funding, and Calgary will not wind up with a new fucking stadium. So that's kind of the core of my belief. Inflammation is the root of all disease. That I cannot speak to. I've heard it said, and I have no reason to deny it because of my not knowing anything, but I can't say one way or the other. I would bow to your expertise far sooner than I would bow to mine because I only know stupid shit about business processes. All right, I'm going to take a pause. And when I get back, I think it's time we can do some more chatter if you guys want. Oh, we're gonna go through that list pardon me, I Am Canadian sent. The 10 positive things to do for you in the new year. So we'll do that when I get back, and all will be groovy. And then I'll do my humiliations if there's no further chatter kind of stuff, and it'll be fun. For humiliations, I'm doing a very Canadian focused humiliations this week. We're going to be singing. What were the choices? A couple Tragically Hip songs and a Bare Naked Ladies song because I am Canadian. I timed my chat with Bob. Perfect. Yeah, nailing it, buddy. Nailing it, my friend. All right. And did you send a link to one of the YouTubes? I think you did. If I scroll up real quick, I should find it. Found a link. Let's see what this is. And if this isn't relevant, then I'll play my crappy music and also like a speech from us.
Despair is not the way forward.
Yeah.
Our dedication
Happy New Year
to create
message from
what we care for,
Sadhguru.
what matters for every other life around us. This is all that matters.
We'll just let this play.
Let year 2021 be a year of dedication, of courage, of determination to create what… Namaskaram. The year 2020 will leave an indelible mark upon the lives of this entire generation. As a unique and challenging year, unfortunately, nearly 2 million people have lost their lives. and so many people have lost their dear ones, businesses have been lost, livelihoods have been lost, many types of challenges have come to us. But it is in these moments of challenge that a human being has an opportunity to rise, to come out with the best that all of us have. Our intelligence, our competence, our love and compassion for each other, every one of these things must find the best expression right now, because there is a challenging situation that doesn't spare anyone. The challenge is for everyone. When the situations happen in ways that you had not imagined, it becomes absolutely necessary that we must be in a state of balance and well-being. Taking care of physical well-being is a challenge right now. Wherever you go, you may fall sick. But now, people are talking about a mental pandemic. I beseech every one of you that you must ensure you must be in the best possible mental state. I can tell you this much, the virus is not affecting your mental state. The virus is capable of only attacking your physical well-being. Do not multiply it with mental imbalances. Ensure that you are not the problem in this situation. There is a serious problem in front of us as a generation of people. Every one of us have to ensure that we are not that problem. This much we must all take care that we don't become a problem. If you sink into mental despair, this is what will happen to us. Despair is not the way forward. Our dedication to create what we care for, what matters for every other life around us, this is all that matters. Let year 2021 be a year of dedication, of courage, of determination to create what truly matters to every life around us. May the best be with you. My blessings and best wishes for the coming.
You heard of Ashtavakra? Ashtavakra means 8 types of deformities he had in his body. He was born this way because he was cursed by his own father when he was in his mother's womb. His father was also a very famous sage and a great scholar, acquired many things, we don't know how many lifetimes. When the wife is pregnant, it's part of the culture that when a woman is pregnant, she must hear all the scriptures and all the good things and knowledge, because she should not hear wrong things, negative things. She should hear nice, pleasant music, she must hear good things, people read Bhagavad Gita to her, Vedas to her. Whether she understands or not, it doesn't matter. The child will listen. Slowly, its evolution will be affected by what the child listens to. So, as a part of it, the father was saying something, explaining something about a scripture. Then suddenly they heard a voice disagreeing with what the father was saying. The child from within the womb said, "No, that's not it, you didn't get it right." The father got so incensed by this, an unborn son, already negating him. It should happen after he's 18 years of age. An unborn one already saying you are wrong. It happens when they come to teenage. He got so incensed and cursed him that let him have 8 types of deformities. So he was born almost an inhuman form, twisted out body. So he was named as Ashtavakra, 8 types of deformities. Father was a… what to say… he was in the king's court, in King Janaka's court, as a scholar, a very accomplished scholar. King Janaka has such a thirst to know. He wants to become enlightened. So he gathered all kinds of sages and scholars and the works, anybody who could get anywhere, he brought them into his court and he wanted to listen to their teachings. And he himself became an accomplished yogi over a period of time, but he still not realized. Then one day, Ashtavakra's father took this little boy to the court.
All right. That was a strange story as I was out hearing about this cursed son. That's a little bit strange. Where's my headphones? There we go. Oh, I gotta get the thing off my face. All right, I have returned. And as promised, we're gonna review this this thing that got sent to me by I Am Canadian, 10 positive things to do for yourself in the new year. This is from tinybuddha.com. And where's my thing? There's my thing. You know what? I can do better, I think. No, I can't. Okay, then there's my thing. All right, 10 positive things to do for yourself in the new year. I'm not going to read all the preamble stuff because I feel like there's probably a whole bunch of stuff about, you know, why the thing got created, and we'll just go for practice mindfulness. When we spend too much time lost in our thinking minds, rushing from one appointment to the next, life, which is always happening now, flashes by unnoticed. The days, the weeks, the months, the years all blur into one, as the preciousness of each living moment is lost to a lack of presence. We're left wondering where all the time has gone and why we feel so dissatisfied, unfulfilled, and disconnected. Taking time to be more attentive to each new moment as it arises is the key to experiencing more peace, connection, and aliveness, regardless of what is going on in your life or what you believe it should look like. Richard Patterson said that. I'm a bit of a curmudgeon here. I'm probably going to be deeply annoying for those that are into this kind of vibe. Mindfulness, I think, is very important, but I also think that it's hard to do, and it's easy to beat ourselves up for not doing it properly or not being in the moment all the time or whatever, when in fact, that's just not real. I do think my advice would be to practice mindfulness as much as you fucking can. Do your best to take time for yourself and to be more attentive to each new moment as it arises. But for me, that means things like I play lots of music, both listening to and creating music. And I do so engaged in these things. I take on a lot of projects that I find to be engaging to me and that I can put that thoughtfulness into. But realistically, I mean, we can't live every single moment to its fullest because that's not, rich people can't do that. So I don't think that's a human thing. Maybe I'm being a curmudgeon. Number 2, embrace change. Life is not about what happens to us, but how we react to it. And some of our biggest disappointments can lead to better things in life, bringing us new beginnings. If we learn to adapt and embrace change, expect life not to go to plan, and then you won't be so disappointed. Accept what it is, look for the silver lining, and adapt. Keep looking for the good in every moment and learn from the tough ones. This is how we not only survive, but thrive, by embracing each moment for what it is and choosing to make the best of it. Jesse Stewart said that. That one I definitely agree with. I'm a progressive, so change is good in my world. But in terms of, like, on an individual level, I find that when things don't go according to plan, that's the perfect time for us to get all just sullen and shitty about things. And in my life, I have gone to great lengths to teach myself to, like, not spend so much time miserably dwelling on all the negative things. Change happens. Change is gonna happen, and you've got to roll with it. So I don't disagree with that one. Number 3, have faith in yourself. Oh, I do. Have a little faith in your ability to handle whatever's coming down the road. Believe that you have the strength and resourcefulness required to tackle whatever challenges come your way, and know that you always have the capacity to make the best of anything. Even if you didn't want it or ask for it, even if it seems scary or hard or unfair, you can make something good of any loss or hardship. You can learn from it, grow from it, help others through it, and maybe even thrive because of it. The future is unknown, but you can know this for sure. Whatever's coming, you got this. Laurie Deshane said that. I don't know who any of these people are, by the way. I agree. I feel like this needs to be tempered with sometimes life is really fucking hard. This is really good advice that sometimes we can't take. But it probably is exactly accurate that this is the kind of advice that we should be taking. Yeah, stop and smell the roses. In the case of having faith in yourself, I think for me, this one touches a particularly important spot because, I've talked many times about losing my faith and realizing that there was no higher power that had a plan for me. And then coming to realize that meant that all along, all the things that I had managed to get through by the grace of God had been by the grace of me, and that I do have this. So that is pretty cool. Everything will work out in the end. If it hasn't worked out yet, it isn't the end. Keep going. I like that. That's a good way of phrasing that. Well done, I am Canadian. Number 4, slow down. You move too fast. You gotta make the moment last. It can be addictive to run yourself ragged. I know. Your heart beats faster, you feel the thrill of a rush, and your brain feels like it's about to burst with all your ideas and plans. You're constantly going with no stop to it. But chasing that feeling is also damaging your health in the long run. If your head is hurting or you feel tired, take a rest. You're not lazy for needing a break. It's your body's way of telling you that it's been running at full speed for far too long. Listen to your body. That was Melissa Chu who said that. That one, 100% agree. I am so regularly surprised at how difficult it is for us to not be 100% engaged all the time. And I've given my kids plenty of shit about the amount of dopamine that they're seeking out through their phones, through perpetually being awash in happiness chemicals. Slowing down is vital. As a Gen Xer, this is kind of like, this is just how we do. I was raised to be able to sit in a chair and read a book. I was raised that, sometimes you don't need to be productive. You need to go ride your fucking bike. I do totally agree. Saying I've been passing on is, if you're struggling, stop, look at where you are and look at where you've come from. Look at the strength it took to get you there. You'll find that strength is what you need for your path forward. Repeat as necessary. I 100% agree with. I have that magnet for the fridge, great saying. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. And if you're going through hell, keep going. Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Number 5, commit to meeting your personal needs. Ooh, this is a hard one for me. For many of us, our needs aren't even on the radar. Simply take a moment to ask yourself what they are, and simply taking a moment to ask yourself what they are can give you answers you never knew were there. So ask yourself, what are my needs? What are my personal prerequisites for happiness? Not what the commercials or your friends are telling you. What is your soul telling you? Do you need more creativity, passion, fun, more time in nature, less stress? Once you've started discovering what your needs are, check in with yourself often. Are your needs being met right now? If not, how can you make that happen? That was Kaylee Rupp. That's a hard one for me. That's a regular struggle. I was raised to put everyone else first. And that's not a terrible thing, but it has terrible repercussions. I am a very kind, caring, and giving person, and that can be a problem for me because I often will find myself showing kindness and caring and giving to everyone but me. And sometimes I have to be like, no, I need this. And that's not easy. That is, in fact, super hyper fucking hard for me to do. Take off your Superman cape, Jim. You're not responsible or accountable for the rest of the world. Take it off your shoulders. But the Superman cape is an extra layer in the cold-ass Canadian winter, so I'm not taking it off. I'll just hide the logo from people. You're not here to rescue anyone. I do agree. I think when you're a parent, there's a certain degree of you have to be able to rescue people. But yeah, I was raised to rescue everybody, and that has not worked well for me in my life. I am too giving. It's been called a fault at times, so I feel that. Yeah, absolutely. 6, focus not just on your to-do list, but also a to-be list. While a to-be list instead of a to-do list for tomorrow, it may look something like this. I can't read. Write a to-be list instead of a to-do list for tomorrow. It might look something like this. Tomorrow I will be mindful, aware, peaceful. A person who seeks reasons to smile and laugh. Loving, appreciative, forgiving, thoughtful, supportive, still, quiet, faithful, honest. A person who simply wants to be. The quality of your life is determined by who you are, not by what you accomplish. We are, after all, human beings, not human doings. Let's base the value of our day on the small bit of wisdom and live accordingly. Just be Nancy Daly. This one is... I really do like the idea of considering who we want to be and how we want to get there. That's been a thing that I've had to do in my world. I hate the human beings, not human doings line. It just feels like one of those Christian, like, reason for the season halfway bullshit epithets, but it's not wrong. We have a habit of, the difference between a to-do list and a to-be list is huge. To do is all the shit that we have to get done. And it's almost never about making our situations better. It's about keeping the lights on. It's about keeping the creditors off the front step. It's about getting through whatever. Whereas a to-be list reminds us that we're actually growing and evolving, and we have to. So I do like that. I've never done a to-be list, but I've done things like I've gone through therapy. I've done counseling. I've worked on getting, accomplishing goals that are not directly associated with, the immediate, what I have to do. And then I guess that's the difference, is the difference between the things you have to do and the things you want to do. Who do you want to be? Then align what you do is the intent, I think. I want to be less of an asshole. What will I do to be less of an asshole? You're both born gurus. Well, I'm more of a guru than a guru. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll just quickly... Ooh, that's not the thing. Gru the Wanderer. This is definitely a lot more who I am. Gru. Does anyone remember Gru? He was a wanderer. That's definitely, right down to the ass and the skinny legs. That's definitely me. Anyways, back to our 10 positive things list, because I don't think Gru fits anywhere on the list. 7, take breaks from the noise of the world. Rhombus Guru, yes, that is me. I guess that parallelogram, Rhombus Guru. Give yourself permission to step away from the noise of the world. Specifically, you have permission to turn off the news or reduce your intake. Reduce your time on social media if it stresses you out. Unfollow social media accounts that are too negative for you. Reduce your contact with negative individuals in your life by setting boundaries. Put yourself on timeout if you need it. Take a mental health day. Say no to things you don't want to do, even if you've already said yes. 100%. The start of COVID was the first time I did a break from social media. I was just so fucking tired of all the pandemic bullshit and all of the question your sources, man, do your own research. I just hit a wall. I was like, I'm not fucking looking at my phone today. And that lasted 3-4 weeks, something like that. And it was super important and super transformative. In the sense that there wasn't the steady trickle of negativity. All hail the Rhombus Guru. Absolutely. Live long and awkwardly slanted. I am on a modified hiatus of Facebook at the moment. Does that mean that you were banned, Bender? No, I'm just kidding. I imagine that what you're doing is exactly what I'm talking about. I used to be ambidextrous, but I'm all right now. That's awesome. And by that, I mean not awesome at all. Number 8, accept where you are. It's okay to be right where you are. Sometimes We think we need to be making progress or moving forward, that we need to be a shining ray of light all the time. The truth is, we need times when we're pausing. Those times are often when we feel more lost and alone. We're figuring things out, reevaluating what we thought we wanted. It helps to let ourselves rest in the knowledge that this time is natural and normal, rather than tell ourselves we need to be making progress and moving forward. Lindsay Lewis. That one is very true and very, very tough for me. I think about it in terms of like when you're doing health stuff, whether it's like, you know, working out in the gym or whatever, there's like this natural, like there's the increase and then there's a plateau. And the plateaus are difficult because whatever you're working on, especially when you've seen like change, and then everything starts to be like, okay, this is the new way things are. It's tough. And being in that space is not easy, and it's easy to get discomfited by the idea that, well, I'm not doing the progress that I was before, but it's okay. It's okay because you're sometimes you just aren't constantly perpetually growing. I am what I am. It is what it I is what I is. Yuck, 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 yuck. Oh yes, and I wouldn't change you for the world, my friend. Recognize that it's okay to not feel happy all the time. Without a doubt, the most important thing to remember is that it's okay to feel overwhelmed and stressed out. It's okay to feel lost and unsure. It's all right to have no idea how you're going to hold it together sometimes. We put so much pressure on ourselves to be happy all the time. It's okay to acknowledge when times are tough. It's all right to feel anxious, even if it's uncomfortable. Yup. That one, I made that realization a good long time ago, and that's, I think, really an important thing to figure out, because I remember there was and this is going to get weird, there was a church sermon right at the point where I had accepted that I wasn't a believer, but I was struggling with the process and trying to figure out, like, how can I make myself believe again. And I was in this this Sunday church thing, and the minister was talking about the word happy, and how in the Bible, you know, it says, like, you know, you get this vibe like you're supposed to be happy all the time. And he was like, that's actually a bad translation. A lot of the times when they said that, what the word that they could have used instead was blessed. So you're not supposed to be happy all the time. You can't be happy all the time. And when you read that and you think you're supposed to be happy, then it just sort of cements that you're not happy and that you're failing to live up to the basics that everybody else gets. And that's a thing that I think we do. We assume that everyone else is doing good, and social media is particularly bad for this, because we buy into the idea. You see someone's happy fucking Facebook status, and you're like, yeah, they're always happy. Why am I so fucking miserable? It's because we're all going through all kinds of shit. Sometimes we're miserable. 10, keep things in perspective. Apply the asteroid scenario test. Simply put, if an asteroid hit Earth and life as we know it was about to end, you'd have a choice. Would you really spend your final days stressing and worrying about something you have absolutely no control over? Or would you be happy with your loved ones with whatever time you have left? Extreme situation, I know, but you need to decide and move forward. Learn to ascertain what you cannot control and acknowledge this with unwavering acceptance. Then focus on positive steps you can control instead. Perry Manzano. I like that. I also, these are things I think that are sort of perfect sentiments for a perfect world that, you know, we don't live in. And maybe I'm a dink, but I kind of feel like that's a part of it. I think we need to also be able to recognize that sometimes you just don't have that fucking luxury. Gratitude is what has got me through my darkest times. Yep. Gratitude is very, very important, I think. Jim, you're definitely a dink. It's true. It's true. They say you are what you eat. Number 11, you don't have to have an opinion on everything. It's okay to say, I don't know, I don't care, or simply nothing at all. I'm not going to provide an opinion on that. Gratitude is an attitude. When you say things like that, you make me angry. Gratitude is an attitude. that's again going back to my being a Jesus boy days of the reason for the season and the attitude of gratitude and all of this shit just fucking rubs me the wrong way. I had a management class in college, and I remember to this day it is the attitude, not the aptitude, that determines the altitude. And I remember being like, all of those statements are true, and I want to fight you with sticks. I saw a vein ripple there. Whoa, camera up here, buddy. Staring at my veiny parts. I did like that list though. Thank you, I Am Canadian. That was good. I see you sent another link here. You get to choose your attitude, you miserable leftist atheist fuck. Yes, it's true. I do. And my attitude, I really feel like I fucking nail this shit. I am a happy person. I am a positive person. I have my moments where I gripe, and I find that sometimes I spiral in that a little bit. But I try really hard to seek out the best in things, and that's a choice. That is me choosing my attitude. Years and years ago, and I'm sure I've told this story like a gajillion times, but years and years ago, I was dealing with a whole lot of like low-grade depression. Not real depression that would like cause me to be suicidal or anything like that, but just that funk. Shane Koijan is amazing. Kai's mom was a huge fan and introduced me to him. That's the link that you sent me there. I Am Canadian. I don't know if we'll watch that today or not, but maybe send me that in Discord and I can give it an eyeball. Anyways, so I was dealing with this sort of low-grade bullshit depression garbage, and it was shitty fuck. And what I decided was I would go out and buy myself a cheap and shitty camera. And this is back in the days of film cameras. So it was a cheap and shitty film camera. And my little project I gave myself was that every day I had to find something beautiful, worth taking a photo of. And there's 24 exposures in a roll of film. So I was like, okay, this should last me a month. Yes, I did just say shitty fuck. It's one of my favorite. Forget chitty bang bang. It's shitty fuck. So I bought myself this camera, and one of the little cheap little $35 cameras kind of thing, a roll of film. And I was like, every day, one photo. Find one thing that is beautiful in the world. And I ended up going through, in the span of a month, I went through like 22 rolls of film, which is hilarious because I couldn't afford to develop 22 rolls of film. I couldn't afford to buy 22 rolls of film, but I did. I didn't develop most of them because I developed like a couple because I had enough money to develop a couple rolls of film. So I kind of grabbed at random. And what I learned is I'm a terrible photographer who should never take photos of anything. And that was sort of frustrating because part of my brain was like, and if this is a cool process, then what I'll do is I'll make like a coffee table book about like how I fought off depression and it'll be helpful to people. And then I'm like, yeah, it'll have all these pictures in it. And I looked at the pictures and I was like, no one will publish this garbage. So that was a thing. But it was a huge, really cool experience that showed me that it's so easy to get lost in negative and to get lost in looking for the bad things in the wild world. And then, if you put a little bit of effort in, you open your eyes and look around you, you'll see good shit. It's out there. It's cool. And I was happy with that. Shitty fuck really threw you guys, man. I'm glad I'm here. Glad I'm here to bring you this joy. Speaking of joy, what greater joy than the weekly humiliations?
And yeah, we should probably...
That's not the thing that I was going to play. All right, weekly humiliations. So we're going to start with a Tragically Hip song. Then we're going to go to a Bare Naked Ladies song. And then we're going to go back to a Tragically Hip song. Because it's all good, shitty fuck, and the world around you is the eye of the beholder. It's true. Yeah, you know, you have to have an eye for the goodness and not the shitty fuck. So we're gonna do some karaoke now, and for those of you who are new to the channel, sorry about this. I'm not. I'm just kidding. All right, we're gonna start with weird use of delay there at the end, or not delay. What's the fucking term for that? You're a huge hip guy. You have huge hips. It's true. I am girthy. I got the girth, but never been big on the tragically hip. All my friends were huge into them. You know, back in high school, everyone was like, "Oh my god, tragically hip, so good, so good," and it just wasn't for me. But a good band nonetheless. Kind of bummed we only had one Russian bot poster today. But you can't always get what you want. Yeah, by no stretch am I a hip guy, but those three jams, Jim, are jams. Yep, I would agree. My process this morning was, my original thought was I would do New Year's Day by U2 because it seemed like it was a thing, and then I remembered that that's a terrible song to have to sing, because Bono, who I do not appreciate as a musician, actually has a really fucking phenomenal range and uses it, and it's almost unconscious. It's actually what makes the best moments at karaoke bars, because someone will get up there and be like, I can totally sing I still haven't found what I'm looking for, and they're like, I can't live, or without you, sorry, with or without you, and you give yourself away, and you give yourself away, and you give, and you give, and then all of a sudden, I can't live with or without you. Right away, I knew the moment you see the look on their face, and they're like, I have made a terrible mistake. That's like karaoke fucking gold as far as I'm concerned. So I was gonna do New Year's Day, and then I was like, that's a terrible idea. And then I was like, maybe I'll do With or Without You, and wouldn't that be funny? And then I was like, no, that's also a terrible idea. And then I was gonna do something, I don't remember what, but something else that made me think of Bob Cajun. And then that made me think of I was like, I haven't done a lot of Canadian music. I should do Bare Naked Ladies. And then I was like, oh, and you know what else is good is Wheat Kings, because I was in a Bare Naked Ladies cover band that never played any shows, unfortunately, but I played upright bass in a Bare Naked Ladies cover band. And then that sort of transformed into Amigo Fantasma, which was fun for a while. And I also played, we used to cover Wheat Kings when I was in Ella Fitzgerald. So I was like, oh, it'll be like a couple of old covers of mine. That'll be fun. But again, never where I was singing. So I'm like, I don't know if I can sing these or not. Find out. And I don't think I did bad, but oddly enough, all of them were either, like, they were at that sort of split point in my range where, like, they're either really low if you sing an octave down, or if you sing an octave up, then your eyebrows go up the whole time, and you look like you've recently had Botox. Yes. Not a good look for me. You're a big guy, you have huge hips, but you get what you need. I do. I get what I need. Oh, man. So it's New Year's 2022. I almost said 2021. New Year's 2022. It's fucking cold out here. It's supposed to go up to like -6 today, which is like ridiculously warmer than it has been. And I looked at the weather app, and it was like -20, -20, -20. And then like as soon as the sun starts to go down and it starts to go up, so it's going to get warm like overnight. And in the morning, the high is like -2, and then right back to -27, which, like, fuck you, universe. Fuck you. 1 day of warm. Fuck. Asshole move. But you haven't touched on the elephant in the room, Betty White. I did. I actually talked about Betty White at the very, 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 very start. But I will reiterate. Betty White was a goddess. Betty White was a phenomenal human being who I grew up watching the Golden Girls, like most people my age. I'm one of those people that knew that Sophia was the youngest of the Golden Girls because that was cool trivia. And I honestly can tell you, I didn't think Betty White would be the last of the Golden Girls to survive. I figured it would be B. Arthur, because she was so very, like, just a strong presence. But Betty White was the final Golden Girl, and a phenomenal performer for many years. And at the end became just like the most charming grandmother in history. And we lost a bunch. I remember making the comment at the beginning of this that if we can lose Betty White, then Joe Biden, it's time, buddy. Watched it with my mom. We loved it. Yeah, it was such a good show. And I've watched it, like I've rewatched it since then a bunch of times, because it'll pop up on. I don't have Amazon right now, but it's on Amazon, and so I've watched it with a friend of mine. It's been at times on various streaming services that I had, and I think at one point I downloaded it. Back before I knew that was illegal, and I was also only in Roblox when I did that. But yeah, just a phenomenal show. And you can watch that cover to cover, and there's just nothing but good. Nothing but good. Some of it's a little cringy because, time has moved on. But the concept of it was something that just would never happen now. We don't make TV for old people. Like, the final season of Boston Legal is all about how we're just completely losing ourselves to stupid reality TV and crap like, Ren and Stimpy and shit. Which, has its place, but so does the Golden Girls, and so does Boston Legal, which I have been binge watching again because it's on Disney Plus, and I love Boston Legal. Again, some of it didn't age well, but it's still a fine show with lots of stuff. Yeah, Betty White, true legend. And she will be missed. I was looking forward to the 100th year birthday of Betty White just because she feels eternal. My grandfather died at 99, and it was a similar principle of like, you know it's coming. But then it happens, and you're like, no. You were supposed to make it to 100. Robot Chicken. I like Robot Chicken. It's a terrible show, and it provides nothing to the greater social discourse. But I love Robot Chicken. Or I loved Robot Chicken. I haven't watched it in years. I don't know if it's even still on the radio. Don't even know if they're playing that on the radio programs anymore. It's more of a sight gag thing. I do think that it's interesting how much we're sort of altering our society in ways that, are perfectly reasonable, but we're losing things like Golden Girls in favor of things like Robot Chicken. And that's probably not a good thing. I don't think that's like a social statement as much as like we ought to have some cool shit for different purposes than just Robot Chicken. You can hear my kid playing with his bong and filling it full of water and then pouring it down the toilet and flushing. It's a good time. How's that bong doing? Nice and clean? Squeak it? No, he didn't squeak it. It's not that clean, apparently. Rage and fear drive so much of our culture these days. Yeah, man. And like the Golden Girls, one of the things I loved about it was they talked issues. Like they did not shy away from having like some real talk. But they did it with a lightness and a care. And these days it's we're not getting that. There really isn't anything like it on TV from what I am aware of. And don't get me wrong, I am not like, oh yeah, I only ever watch, good quality programming. Like I watch a lot of shit. I've been watching The Blacklist forever. I've spent a great deal of time watching Grey's Anatomy, but only for the purposes of insomnia. Because it's a terrible fucking show, and I can fall asleep and not give fuck number one about, oh no, I missed the end of the episode. Yeah, but I think someone needs to come along and be like, hey, let's make a show like the Golden Girls again. And hopefully when they say that, the people who hear it don't go, yeah, we need to find 4 old women and recreate the Golden Girls, and we'll do it. Maybe we'll give them a wacky celebrity dog, because that feels like our culture these days. Bitter old man. What can I say? Weak kings and pretty things. I feel like we don't have enough pretty things in our world. Even like music, there's very little that's happening that's that I hear at least that isn't anger or despair. And maybe that just speaks to the fact that like I don't listen to the radio. What the fuck do I know about anything? But so much of the music that I surround myself and that I make is despair-y and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, don't look up. Surprisingly, it is a documentary. It feels like a documentary. It's certainly I would say mockumentary more than anything else. I really enjoyed it because it points that finger squarely on our culture and says maybe we're doing some stuff wrong. You want to hear an original karaoke next week, Jim? Like an original one of our songs? This is the music I'm on at the moment. What do you mean? Sorry, I am Canadian. What do you mean by an original karaoke? One of the songs that I can sing all of the lyrics for Bodies of Everest because there are none. Sing one of my songs. I could probably do that. I have to think about. I don't know. Most of the songs that I've got recorded from me are bitter and nasty, punk rock songs and shit. Sing one of your band songs. Sing one, motherfucker. Sing a Valor song. I can sing a Valor song. It just goes. Velour song. I'll tell you what. I will take that challenge on. I have this tool that I can use to upload an MP3 and strip it into component parts. So if I can do that, maybe I'll do a Keith Morrison band song or a Ella Fitzgerald song or something that's a little more easy on the ears than Valor. And I will take that as a challenge for next week. Well played, I am Canadian. And if you're, for whatever reason, not on next week, I'll just hold off on that until such time as you are on. Because that is an intriguing challenge. All right, but at that, I feel like it is time for me to rest my weary pipes. I also must go, and I wish all of you guys very well. I hope 2022 treats everyone like super fucking rhombus kings, and we will see you throughout. Happy New Year's to all, and to all a good stream.